you can't handle the heat.
Booyah, welcome back to another episode of You Can't Handle the Heat. It's your boy G Swizz. To my left, I got my brodo Jokesy. Jokesy, how we doing?
Howdy, people.
Looking good. Hey, I like the blue lights, by the way.
Your gauges. We went for a new look today.
I like it. New look Joe. And then all the way in the most southern part of Europe, we have the Micah. Micah, how we doing, brother?
Good, brother. How you guys doing?
Good to be back, boys.
Is Turkey the most southern part? Or
Yeah. It is. Trust me, bro.
Yeah, we're below Greece.
Below Bulgaria.
below all of Italy? Sorry, my geography is.
Dude, Italy's like,
That's a good question, but I think the bottom of Turkey.
It
for
is.
sure
It is.
But,
It is.
but
I studied this.
I don't know
last
if
year.
all of Italy is below all of Turkey.
Is all of Spain, because you have the Spanish islands that go down to the.
Spanish islands do also border Africa, yes, but Turkish is literally in like Africa and Middle East as well. They're by far the most southern part.
Yeah, I think we are.
And I wouldn't be so cocky about it if I didn't study it so much last year. With that being said,
I don't know about that.
hey man, I spent a lot of time and hours in that. You're just over here.
I've seen you be
throwing
pretty
my-
confident. I've seen
You
you be
say
pretty
you be
confident
cocky.
about some things that
That's true. But
You
can
may
I,
not
can I
have
say
put
for this
a lot of-
exact case, that's why I'm so confident?
yeah,
I think
sure.
That's fair. That's fair to state.
Sure, why not?
With that being said, I would list Wednesday night. What was the date, Joe? 11th.
The 11th, your father's
The
birthday.
11th. Happy birthday, Roger Worsley. I would state
Happy
the
birthday,
11th
Roger.
of January for out of system as a whole, for the boys of out of system, in terms of international play, as a group, as a unit, the most successful night we've ever had. What would you guys say about that?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of international play,
In terms of volleyball play, how about that? See it like that.
Well, you also got to consider that.
no. In terms
I
of
don't know.
volleyball play, you winning the national championship is pretty amazing.
We were talking about that. Well, before we get into that, we can debate that. Before
Okay.
we get into that, for everyone to know, Joe and I were so fortunate enough to play Modena volleyball for
Just Gage and I.
just Gage and I. It was 2-on-6. It was pretty
2-on-6. Yeah.
And in the CEV Cup, and we were fortunate to come on top 70-50 in the fifth. Huge upset. Probably so far my biggest victory that I've ever had before, in my opinion. As a team is unbelievable. They have players, all-time greats such as Bruno, such as IYCHTH. Also, big names as well as Tobias Crick. The opposite, what's the opposite's name? Lagumza, best player in Turkey, as well as their young outside Rinaldi, who's up and coming. He'll be on the national team for a long time to come. So, especially with a bunch of frat stars and American and North Americans, not a bad victory in front of a sold out crowd.
Team
And,
frat star.
Yeah, basically. And then Micah, I want you to kind of give a background of what you just accomplished last night and how big that was.
Bruno against 6 Chads.
Fads, actually.
7 Chads,
Flip
actually.
Cup champs.
No, we had an amazing game last night. We won in the 5th, 19-17, against IYCHTH, who's one of the best teams in the Bundesliga right now and is playing really, really well. So that was huge. And then, so now we're like, because of, if you break it all down, I think we're tied in points, but we're in first in our group for Champions League. And if we play Hebar, who's in last place in our group. We play them at home next, and IYCHTH has to play Berlin. So if we take care of business and do well, if we were to win that game 3-0 or 3-1 at home, then we would be in first in our group, which we would go directly to the quarterfinals of Champions League.
So, big night for out of system. With that being said, we are planning to have a guest on the show, but after such an eventful and successful night, we had a lot of questions asking about both matches, about kind of what happened. And if there wasn't really a story to tell, we wouldn't do a whole podcast on it, but there's a lot of nitty-gritty details that I think happened in our match, happened in Micah's match, that he can kind of break down. Micah, do you want to go first, or do you want...
No. I want to hear about your guys' match.
We want to hear about your match. That's
No,
big.
you guys go first. You guys go first.
Joe, we got to take turns telling this story because I'm sure I'm going to mess it up at times.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just to give you guys a background, CV Cup, how it works is every round you have 2 legs. So there's a home match and a away match. So now we have to go to Modena. We won 3-2. So any win for us, obviously we would go through directly if we were, going. It's going to be very difficult going there now because I think coming here, I don't know, we were just this like small German team that they kind of didn't know a whole lot about. And now when we go back down there into their home arena, it's going to be a little bit different, I think, focus and sense of urgency on there. And like from the start, I don't know, you just always, I think it's difficult for those like big name clubs to just travel to these smaller clubs and have to play on the road in these smaller towns and stuff. So we have to play them in 2 weeks. But I don't know. I don't even know where to start.
You guys start with the serve and pass. So I can give kind of a quick briefing of the serve and pass.
Okay.
So what happened was, and this is why. So Gianni, how do you say his?
Gianni Giovanni. Yeah.
No, what's the head coach's name again?
Just Gianni. People.
Gianni. So Gianni's one of the best coaches in the world. Clearly, I am very educated about top coaches.
He
in the
doesn't
world.
watch a lot of volleyball.
I watch a lot of volleyball. Yet in modern day, yes, I do. Not as much as Joe or Micah, but I watch a good amount of volleyball. I would say so.
I would say no.
I would say so.
I know a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that watch more volleyball. Anyways.
That's fair. That's fair. But
It's
I still
irrelevant.
think
It's
I do.
irrelevant. Continue.
With that being said, he used to coach the German national team about 2 years ago.
He just got the French job this past summer, so it was before that.
So what happened was Lucas Mazda, who was our opposite, he had a lot of, he was coached by him when he was on the German national team. So he knew kind of his coaching style and whatnot. Also, Joe and Lucas play with some of their players. So how it works a lot of time when you have serve and pass in the morning, and I forget how this is in college, but in pro, the visiting team goes first, then the home team goes second. So as the home team enters, the visiting team is going away, and that's where you do a lot of meet and greets, or if you catch up with old friends, or you say what's up, dap each other up, whatever. Joe's chatting with some of the players and whatnot, and they were very. I would say I remember when we came out, and there was particular instance where they're like, "Oh, you have this player, and they're the second Italian league. Of course, they're not going to worry about a small German team, in the Bundesliga." So we go in there, and like, oh, and I meet him, and he's like, "Oh, he's your brother. I didn't know he was on the team or whatever." I'm like, yeah, I don't think they really scout us that much, and why should they? I mean, they're Mono at the end of the day, and their coach. And the reason I bring up their coach is because he's kind of a guy, and I like this kind of coaching style. He says he's very strict, but he says, as Lucas says, 4 or 5 things at the beginning of the match. He's like, just go play volleyball at the end of the day, right? So maybe that is also the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that is their coaching style. They don't really know like who they're playing or if it's a smaller club, and just go play volleyball. They have world-class players, some of the best of all time. So that makes complete sense why they wouldn't. So from that point, I don't think they really were familiar. There's a Shaq quote. He says, "Sorry, big fella, I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with the game," or something like that. Or like I forget what that is, but I think that directly applies to the situation. And then so we go out and we're warming up. Some of the guys maybe aren't warming up as much, you kind of see, like, because you're right next to each other. The game starts. They start their 4th string outside, and they start their 4th string middle. And IYCHTH's on the bench. Everyone else is pretty much a starter. Crick, he's been on and off, and he started because he's in a hometown. And we're like, all right, let's go. Here we go. And right from the get-go, I think we kind of took it to him. And then it was about, 16, 17 points in when they subbed IYCHTH.
It was right about, I think we were up like 17-13. We were 18-14, we were up in the first when he came in.
And I remember he comes in, subs in, and we all turn to each other, we're like, all right, boys. Time to get real, boys.
Well, we got him off the bench. That's mission number 1 is like,
yeah, exactly.
Make him have to play.
Exactly. I was like, let's get some respect, boys. So we're going, and this is when things get spicy, kind of. So things kind of started getting heated.
He was not thrilled. When you're in that situation, you're usually not thrilled to be coming in like.
Yeah, you're hoping
like,
your guys
boys.
can take care of business. Yeah.
Yeah, he was not planning on playing at all that night.
And he wasn't warming up as hard.
So that added into his frustration, I'm sure. like
Yeah.
that bit.
Big time.
So he comes in. We're like, all right, we keep steady. We win 19-25 the first set. We're steady. We're all pumped. We're like, okay. Took a step. Like I said, that was step number 1, getting bet in. Step number 2, take the first set. Take it step by step by step. Switch sides.
By step.
Thank you. And we switch sides. I remember things now. You could see their experience and what comes off as, I don't know, not really.
It's gamesmanship. Like,
Yeah. Joe can kind of explain this part better than I can.
So that was always one thing in Friedrichshafen. That's
Your
one
old
thing you
club.
notice. Yeah, that's the old club I used to play for. Guys like VOLLEYBALL, Marshall, like all these older, more experienced players, even Sturvold, like all these older guys, they knew so well how to like control the pace of the match, and they would push the ref and complain and slow down the match, and a lot of times when we would play teams, they would do that, and the other young guys would get flustered all the time by that, like that type of stuff, and that's why they do it in general. Like they're trying to disrupt the rhythm of the match a little bit. And they were doing it all night last night. Mostly Bruno and IYCHTH were going at it. There was a point where our head coach IYCHTH it was just 1-on-1 going back and forth. They both got carded.
Because our coach is he's played in Italian League. He was the best middle in the world at one point, and he's like the nicest guy. But he can flip a switch, and when you see that switch, my God! And he'd always say when he played, he was always like, he told us today, he's always in the middle of like the heated battle. He wanted all about it. Sorry, Joe. Continue with that.
And I've always been a guy too that like I don't mind a little bit, but I also get frustrated when like our players, when my teammates and stuff go after like the wrong guy. I'm like, all right, that's not the guy we need to get going. Be mindful like who you're doing it to.
IYCHTH's ready to go outside. I'll just say that.
And our coaches kind of start smiling and laughing, but Irvin was not smiling at that. He was pretty frustrated at that point. Also, the refs are just making her not great calls pretty consistently. There's no challenge system. And the refereeing was just all over the place, and it wasn't consistent. And so they were really frustrated with that. Our fans, which I hadn't seen before, started booing them at certain points of the match because they were just so frustrated with, them kind of slowing the match down and stuff. But that's what I was telling our teams. Like, that's what a lot of these experienced guys, they're really good at that. Is if they're not like in the match, they have to do something to get some type of energy going, some type of like conflict going, and that's what they were trying to create for sure. But I just felt like our team did such a good job of
staying composed,
and like just kind of moving on with that. And a lot of times our team just kind of like smiles and laughs about it, because our team also is so young. Like there's so many first year professional players on our team. Guys first time playing European competition. There's all these like definitely first time playing like a match of that caliber or a team of that caliber or that like anything like that. You even look at like in our video session, guys are just like oohing and eyeing at like stuff. It's like, well, we're like on the same field like court as them so tonight. So let's not be like too caught up in that. And at the end of the day, I think it was a really good job. I think that first set allowed us to settle into things and be like, okay, like we saw it. We know like the speed is definitely a little bit different. The control and just like the
height of their attacks.
Yeah.
Especially on the middle and the middle and the opposites that's OT. And there's a lot of plays where you're just like, that's just OT, bounced over us. That is what it is, brother. At the end of the day, and just kind of moving on from that. But one example that Joe kind of brought up to sportsmanship, like if they make they're fully aware of the name that they have in Modena and individually as well. So there's multiple points. Remember in the third set, bad call, like said the ref. So even you make bad call, it's like the boy who cried wolf. You make bad call, bad call. You make the right call, but it's maybe a little bit of a tight call. 3 or 4 of their players are coming onto the net, kind of, and just they're surrounding the ref stand. There's like 6 of them, and if you know anything also about, and these players obviously have garnish a lot of respect and whatnot. You know anything about Italians? They're very this is how it is. Like you're wrong or whatnot. And maybe they were right in that situation. I don't know. Who knows?
There was a point. I don't know if it was out of frustration or what it was. One of their players, ball's on the ground, kicked the ball with his toe, with his like the end of his foot, direct shot to the line judge's face.
Boom.
It was like, it was so
No.
hard.
Yeah, it was bad. No card or anything either.
Yeah.
No
He went and
card?
apologized. He went and walked over.
I don't know
It
if
was
the head judge saw it. The head
Oh my
I didn't even see
gosh.
it.
But
Yeah.
I don't know if it was out. I did not see
It
it.
wasn't
at all.
on purpose. It was he should not have kicked the ball.
Yeah,
He kicked it towards the
that's
line
red.
ref. And maybe that's why the line ref maybe gave us some calls that, you know, I don't know. I don't know if she did give us calls. I don't know. I'm just saying that's a joke. Whatever, man. But so that happened and he went over and apologized. I didn't even see it, but she had like a red mark on her face. I was like, are you good? But then so let's go back to the game by game. So first set we win. Second set we lose 28-26. And we, like I said,
So many chances.
Mhm.
One thing. It was funny.
Which would be
like-
huge to for those that, like you were explaining, you have a home leg and an away leg. If you win 3-0 or 3-1,
Yeah.
you get 3 points. And if you win 3-2, you get 2, and the other team actually gets 1 point. It's kind of a strange thing that
Well, it's not
we
a
don't
point,
do very
yeah.
often.
It's more
Um,
so just like qualification for us because it's for 3-0, 3-1. We would have just had to win 2 sets, and it would pretty much been over when we go there, too.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Because it's head to head. But I guess just explaining to people that the fashion in which you win actually really matters.
Yeah. Yes.
So now you guys have to go there, and if you
just win the game.
win 2 sets, it's not enough. You have to win the
Yeah.
third. Like instead, if you win that set in the second set, then you go there and you pull off 2 sets and you lose, you still are through.
Mhm.
It's not that you won one and lost one, so that it's
Yes.
tied. Sorry, I shouldn't have
Correct.
jumped in, but go ahead.
No. You're 100%. There's the thing is we gotta like say we gotta keep in mind that a lot of our audience might not know like the Champions League and all these rules and kind of like what means what. And also we did unfortunately neither Micah or us vlog these games, but we will be vlogging it in Mona. We have Fana coming out and we'll be kind of taking you through the day. So we'll have a vlog there and it'll kind of show you the volleyball palace and whatnot. So we thought we'd get on the pod and tell. But with that being said, like there's a lot to unpack here, and there's like I said, there's maybe people who don't understand the rules and whatnot. So that's why sometimes we're bounced off the walls because we're trying to catch you guys up to speed here. But then so second set, like I said, 20-26. For the most part, we're slowing. Like their big hitters aren't like having a huge effect. Just like Joe says, they're making the small plays and in terms of like in the big moments, and that's why they get paid
And we
a
were
lot of money.
And if we're just like we were not setting the ball out of system well. Micah Christensen actually texted me. He's like, "Dude, you guys had so many opportunities, and just like we just could not set the ball out of system for some reason. It was just funky. Like
Usually you guys are
Decent.
pretty solid.
Yeah,
at
we
that.
are. But we also played really good defense, so we had a lot of chances to set out of system balls, and we just didn't make it.
it was
So
just,
luckily
it was
we
just a
made
lot of
another defensive
hesitation. Like just so everybody knows, like when I play the ball, our like area 6 kind of goes, and sometimes there's like hesitation. Sometimes like we had other players taking it. Just like a lot of like hesitation in moments, like big moments that if we would have capitalized, I think we pull out that second set.
But for us, when we go up 2-0 a lot, for us, yeah, you're right. It would have been nice to be 3-0, 3-1, but as a young team that we are, we need to take whatever we can get at this. I mean, against Modena especially. So second set, 20-26, we lose.
We got down really quick in the second set too, which didn't help.
Yeah, especially yeah. So, but like I said, we did really well defensively.
Somebody went
Though.
on a service run early.
Yeah,
I think
And-
IYCHTH, yeah, he had like 2 or 3 aces, 2 overpasses, and we went down like big early on in the second set, which didn't help.
I will say, this is the first, as a passer, coming from a passer, this is the first time that I've ever had 6 rotations of guys just absolutely bombing balls down, you know? That's the first time I've ever experienced that, and it was really cool to pass. And then also, I've never seen a short serve like IYCHTH before in terms of that close above the net. And literally, like, I'm going to turn, in terms of feet, 2 to 3 feet away from the net. Sometimes, like, the shortness and the perfection of the curl was, I've never seen anything like that before. I was like, it was, and it, not luckily, but it wasn't me who had to pass. It was Jordan a lot of the time. And sometimes, like I said, with those players, making those plays, you just got to tip your cap. You got to go for it. You get it. You don't get it. You try and adjust. And, but it was cool. It was really, really cool to kind of experience. And you know, you always like to have challenges against world-class players, so it was cool. So that was a neat thing to kind of learn as well. And then we go into the third set. We're still good spirits and whatnot. Go into the third set, and we're fighting, and it goes 28-26 again, right?
Yeah, but we have we're up 24-21, 24-22. 24-22.
Yeah.
We had a couple chances, errors, I think attack errors. And then finally we get advantage. They spike a ball out. Colton calls his own touch. He calls his own touch, and that would have been the set over. And they were screaming. And
this is when they surrounded the ref stand. This is when all 6 of them were, and the coach were on the floor.
I'll be honest, it's one of the most infuriating I've ever been in a match. I'm like, we're in competitive sports. Who on earth is calling their own stuff? And it was luckily he was the one who closed the match out. We had advantage. He aced the libero for the set, and so he was
he made it up.
He made it up, and we won the set, which is huge. Losing that set would have been.
Hey, Colton, if you're listening, we love you.
We go over the net, and I just go and I look at him like, Colton. I use some more harsher language. Like, don't you ever do that again. I swear.
What was that language? If you were to make it, I want you to try and do it in PG. Try and do it in a PG version.
No, I can't. I did it in a PG version. I used much more harsher words than that. But I was just like, what are we doing? And then in the fourth set, we start off, and it's back and forth a little bit. We're in row 1. He goes up. He's one-on-one with Irvin. Spikes it. It's off the side of his hand. No, they don't call a touch. Of course, nobody's calling your own touches. And Colton kind of looked over. He's like, dude, be honest, man. I'm like, bro.
Let's make something clear. Colton played a hell of a game.
No. I'm saying
unbelievable.
I'm saying it because it's funny. I'm not at this point. It's just funny to me.
He played unbelievable.
But it's just the circular over talking about the.
So yeah, so that comes into play. Now with that being said, also I want to kind of go into really quickly how much caffeine I took. I took 3 scoops of we call it booster. It's pre-workout, about 3.5, 4 scoops of it throughout the game, which I don't know measurements. A good amount is 1 scoop. I took 4 times the doctor prescription. There's no prescribed, but so what happened was for me, I take it because if I don't take it at late games, all of a sudden I don't know why everything just kind of gets whoa. Everything's in slow motion. I don't see the ball very well. I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good. 4th set, I have 2 overpasses on Bruno's serve that are good, but they've been hitting a lot harder balls than I've been handling. And I overpass kill. Of course, they're going to slam it right back. So I was a big reason why we lost 4th set and we lost by 7 points. Because before then, we've been siding out really, really well, keeping the ball on our side, and really just popping it up if it's a bomb. So that was my fault. So then I go to Kuga, I go to my trainer. I'm like, give me more pre-workout. I need 2 more scoops of it. He's like, what? And then he starts handing me liquid gel. No. Get the boost. I'm yelling at him because the crowd's loud. And then he speaks pretty good English. Not the best English. So I'm like, get the booster. I'm like, comes in a can. It's like this. It says booster on it. I see Lisa, who's our backup. She does her game sometimes. She's also a trainer. She's sprinting to the locker room. Gets it back there, and he's about to put it in, and I'm just all I'm doing is just dumping a bunch of water in the trash can, and I'm like, give me 2 scoops, and he's just chucking scoops. It's in the middle of the 4th, because I'm starting to feel in the 4th set. I'm like, whoa, I'm starting to feel whoa, got it, that, stuff I don't want to be feeling. And then so he's just boom, 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 and I just shake it, and it tastes disgusting. So imagine twice the amount of what you're supposed to drink of just pure, just disgusting, chalky water. And I'm just and that was in the middle of the 4th, and then by the 5th set, I'm just wired. I'm I'm back, baby. I'm ready to go. I got my super soldier serum. I'm ready to go. So 4th set, that was a big reason. Didn't hold serve receive, lost it. 18-25. Go in the 5th set. We've been in this situation before where we have the teams. Our biggest thing is we have not been closing in big sets in 5th sets. Berlin 25-27. Got smacked in Friedrichshafen in 5 when it was a sold-out crowd. a week or so back. So against the bigger teams, So then we go into the fifth set, and we start out. Well, no, Ronaldo, I remember, served, and I think it was to my right, but it was out. But I play it. We set out of system. Good. We get a good swing off. We get a decent swing off it, and then they play IYCHTH Tool. Joe yells at me, "The ball's out." I was like, "Frick, my bad." The ball, they served me. Now this is probably the hardest, maybe one of the most gnarliest balls I've ever received in my life. Rinaldi he has a lower toss, but a wicked snap. This guy bombs a knuckleball at me. This is the first time he sent a knuckleball right at my, luckily it was at my stomach, so it was right where my platform was, and I just pop it up. I'm like, oh boy. I don't think I've ever received a ball that fast and that knucklebally. And luckily, passed it up, and we side out. But for some reason, I always, whenever there's a big play and I do something to help it, I always go for the crotch. What's it called? What do you call that?
The chop.
The crotch chop. You know what I'm saying? So I remember I do a little something something there. You know what I'm saying? It's always my go-to. Cause I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. So I just do that. So we go in the fifth set, and then we start out hot. We do well. We're up 4-8 on the switch. I'm pumping the crowd up in a PG way. I'm saying, let's go, guys. Come on. The house is rocking at this point. Switch sides.
Up 8-4.
Up 8-4, and they get it back to about 12-10.
Yeah. We love it. We always
make it hard.
String together. Whenever we're up like that, we string together something that puts them right back in the match somehow. It's a different every time. We like to
some beautiful concoctions.
We always string something together.
We always got some up our sleeves.
Magic.
So we go up 12.
Hey, watch this.
See this lead?
Oh, see what we just did?
Oof.
4 points in a row. Some sick stuff. Oh boy, I got something.
It's 11-11. It's I think.
No, we get up 13-12. And eventually we get up 14-13. Is it tied 14-14? No, I think they get up. Eventually it goes back and forth. Eventually they have match point. Bruno's serving, gets back-to-back serves down the line. We set a back bake. They have an open net, but they've been taking a bunch of balls. And IYCHTH just sticks a hand to the block into his front row with his, I think it was his left hand. And he's right-handed. And he's blocking the bick. So he's reaching across his body or whatever. We're doing something wild. Tool, point for us. Tied game. We go back. I think something happens. Lucas hits down the line or whatever. We get a kill. The last point out. We do double sub. Jan in the front row. Hans in the back row. And set Rinaldi.
Opposite. It's blocked.
Oh, yeah. We blocked out. Schinzer blocks the opposite. Now we have match point. I forget who's serving. Someone's serving. No, Jordan's serving. Float serve over there. They set Rinaldi on the outside. Rinaldi goes good swing off the block to the sideline. Hannes, our backup setter, plays it. Jordan goes for the set. Sets it behind the 3-meter row, front row. Colton free balls it over, which luckily went in our favor. They pass it perfectly. IYCHTH passes it perfectly. He passes it and just kind of continues walking off the court. And they set the middle. He's been destroying us all game. And he hits it out. 17-15. SVOLLEYBALL, Luna Huna will beat Modena in the biggest win in the club's history and a lot of our individual history as players. And one of the biggest upsets of the year so far, I would say, in terms of the volleyball world. If not I don't know, put that up to vote. And so then the house rocking. Some of the Modena players, I'm not going to name any names, don't really shake our hand or whatever. They're frustrated and whatnot. We go. There's some altercations after the match with some players, coach or whatever. I'm not going to get into that. It's not my business to kind of get into that. I'm just going to say that we're on the way out. May or may not have heard some slamming on the wall towards the Modena locker room, so they were not happy. As they should be, losing to the SVOLLEYBALL Luna Huna. One of their players is worth more than our entire budget, probably. So, it's just kind of one of those things where it's I remember Lucas told me this one time, and it's like, hey, at a certain level, anybody can beat anybody. And I think that goes to show. And after the game, a lot of people tagged us for SVAL game, whatever they said, or like, oh, go SVAL game, whatever their comments. And also, Joe got some hate from the Modena fans. They're tagging us, and they're saying here the refs made bad calls or whatever for us, but they made bad calls for both sides at the end of the day. And you got to play volleyball at the end of the day, and that's what it came down to. So when we go there, it's going to be extremely hostile and a must-win situation for both teams. And that is the story of the SVAL game Luna Huna. VOLLEYBALL.
I played Katowice last year. But, yeah, controversial topic. No, to keep it a little bit shorter, we lost the first set. We didn't play super great, and we had given up kind of a lot of aces, I think. We gave up like four or five aces in the first set. So I think it's hard to win when you're going to give up that many aces. And then, gosh, I actually can't remember the second set. But I think, hold on, let me think about the second set. I'm guessing we won the second set. Did we not?
Well, you need 3 sets to win. So if there
You need 3 sets to win. I know we won the 5th.
Got you.
And we
Was
won
there
the
another
4th
set?
as well. And
Did
I
you win
don't
the
think we
third?
won. I don't think we won. We were down over 2-0.
I'm gonna go ahead.
So we
and
won
bet
the
you
second set. We win the second set. Now I do remember the third set because the third set is when things started getting pretty chippy, and the ref always adds a big part of the chippiness, obviously. Like usually it's just
Huge part,
a bad
usually.
ref, and then everyone's on like a whole nother level. Everyone's upset, and then things can kind of blow up to be more than what they would be if you had the game was reffed really well. But we took a red card on a play that the ref messed up, and really bad. And because you messed up so bad, our captain was really mad and took a red card. And it took forever. It took like 15 minutes.
Which one's your captain?
Bruno is our captain on the
Okay.
court. Nicholas Bruno. He's an Argentinian guy. And he's a receiver for us, for those guys I haven't seen, with a lot of experience. And so he took a red card. And we end up losing that set 25-23, I want to say. And so that red card really costed us. I remember thinking, like, if this guy doesn't blow this call, then we're going to be induced, you know? That wasn't the case, so we lose that one. We come back, and at this point, everyone is gassed. Like, I'm gassed. They're gassed because it's just been a battle. And you can see it on their faces. And we brought in a new middle who brought a lot more energy, and was able to like do a lot of things really well that ended up leading to our victory. So shout out to Emery Tayez. But Namir and me had made comments like, man, they're gassed. So we knew we were going to win the 4th set for sure, just from just their look. They couldn't jump. They just looked exhausted. We were exhausted too, but we had a good feeling about the 4th, and we were never like in a huge amount of trouble. But we ended up pulling that one off, I think 25-23. So it was really close, but we felt a little bit more confident in that set. And then the 5th set came, and we're down. Everyone misses. I think there's probably like 10 missed serves in the first.
No way.
In the first 12 points. Everyone
Both
misses a
sides?
serve. Both sides. No one could hit a serve in.
Jeez.
And but we're losing somehow. And it's 7-7, and they take a red card. So now they took a red card, and we switch sides on a red card, 8-7. And it took forever. The match was 172 minutes. For a lot of people out there, that's pretty damn long. That's like
2 hours, 12 minutes.
no.
2 hours,
8 minutes
52
shy
minutes.
of 8 minutes shy of 3 hours. So 2
UH,
hours
baby.
and 52 minutes, which is long for 5 sets. It's still really long. So everyone was gassed. So they take a red card. We go 8-7, and we play all the way to deuces, all the way up until 19-17, where we're able to seal it. And I was talking to Joe about this a little bit about like decision making in deuce sets. I'm sure Joe has a lot of thoughts of his own on this, but like that's when probably it's a little bit easier for a team like you guys because you guys are pretty balanced. And so you're never going to have like a set that you're like, that I should give that to my Nimir. You know what I mean? I
To
should
my
give that,
Namir.
like, yeah, I should give that to my I should give
I
that
wish I
to
had
my
a Namir.
whoever the case may be. You can take a little bit more risk probably, and I've been on teams like that as well where it's like you can kind of feel confident taking kind of setting anywhere. But when you have a player like Namir, they want the ball, right? And they want the ball every time that the game's on the line. However, I've played on a lot of teams where that's not necessarily the best choice. And it's like a managing game of that situation. Because they're gonna see four hands, probably pretty solid four hands. And if you're in deuce sets a lot, eventually that guy is gonna not put the ball away. Like it's just a matter of time going up against a super solid block when they know where it's coming. And so it's just a managing game of like which balls you can give to him, which balls you can't, and honestly having the balls to do it because I had like a set or two that he was not happy with me for making a different choice, but yet
What'd he say?
no, it's not like a saying thing. You can just tell. Joe even reached out to me and was like, dude, I saw
Did he
one.
get in your
look.
face?
Joe can talk about it.
It was very evident.
Did he get in your face?
No. He didn't get in my face, but you can just tell. He just gave me a look that was like, dude,
Body language.
why did you do that? And I was stuck by it. I was like, dude, they released to you. I set a 31. It was one on nobody, and the set was too low, and he didn't kill it. But it's the right choice. I could have gone a little higher, and he would have destroyed it. But for me, I'm standing by that decision because one too many times I've just given every single ball to the best player, and it's not necessarily always the best move. So that's learning a little bit through experience, and I'm sure like a guy like Bruno at his age and how many insanely important matches that he's been in, like has a whole another level of understanding of those moments. But starting to be in more of those situations and starting to learn a little bit more about decision making, because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing as well. So it's another good game to learn about that kind of stuff where the money's on the line and you have to make some ballsy choices and see what pays off and how you feel about it. Whether it pays off or not, it still might be the right decision. So some stuff like that. That's why those games are exciting to me more than anything else, is learning decision making in what situations where you need to side out.
I want to hear about this Kovacevic beef.
Wait, I have a question before you.
Yeah.
Before you get into that, what is your opinion on red cards in players or somebody going to the extent of getting a red card?
I've only received one red card in my life, and I was like 10 years old. And yet I'm pretty expressive, so I think that it's probably over the top. And it's also, the difference is that it's a point. A yellow card means nothing to me. And the difference is that it's a point, and in a lot of matches where you're getting red cards, it probably means that it's pretty close. Yeah. And so in two of these sets that we won, 1917, they took a red card. We would have already had lost. And in the third set, we would have been in deuce. And so red cards, I'm never a fan of a red card. I really don't like it. I think it's stupid. And I'm usually in enough control to like know what I'm doing where I just pull back.
Yeah.
I'm never going to be like hitting a ball, something like that, but I will be in the ref's face and talking to them. And if I take a yellow, then I'll just be like, okay, I'll walk away from the situation. But the thing about this was, one, there was no yellow for both situations. It went both directly to red, and like their guy did not deserve a red. Nico, I think our guy might have deserved the red. I think he deserved the yellow. But I also think, which I tried to tell to the ref, was like, you got to understand that your call was so bad that reaction was to a call that we just couldn't believe. And so that red card's on you, and you have to manage that situation and then give it a yellow. You don't make a mistake and then give a red card to someone being mad about your mistake, in my opinion. Unless that action is really gnarly, which it wasn't. I think Nico just like spiked the ball into the net, but not really hard, and just like spiked it like that or something, which I think should have been a yellow. But also retrospectively, me and Namir, we had lunch today, and we were just like, we feel so bad for this ref. Like, it's not a good position to be in. And he was overall a really nice guy, and so I hope that he can recover from it and doesn't take it too hard. But a ref's position is a hard position to be in these situations too.
Oh yeah.
And as heated as we were, I think somewhere along the 4th or 5th set, we both realized like, oof, this guy's struggling. And even after the game, he was just like, it looked like he had just gotten done with like gotten out of the Coliseum like 1,000 years ago.
Fighting for his life.
That was the ref last night too for us. He was
of course. That guy looked like he was
Swedish
getting
guy.
tortured too.
Oh, he was. And even as they were walking off, like just berating him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Dude, I don't know what would make somebody want to become a referee. Like, that's like, I just do not want to be. It's just not enough reward for the risk. Like, what is the reward and what is the risk?
They can be around high-level volleyball if they can't play high-level volleyball, too. Think about that.
No, dude, not worth the risk.
Dude, that's why a lot of refs, dude, I'm telling you right now, think of a
They
lot
go
of...
coach.
Think about well,
do
be a
something
physio.
else, dude. Or do the scoreboard. Be a ref
Stats.
that does.
No,
don't
but
be
you
the
can't
R1.
travel
though.
internationally. Think about a lot of like the basketball refs and a lot of
I know,
you hear a lot of
I
these
don't
stories
know.
like I was never the best player, but I just love the game. I love the game so much. I want to be around a high-level volleyball player
Yeah, you're right.
or
You're
a
right,
high-level
actually.
X player.
I'll take
you
it
know?
back. That
Scout,
is correct.
weight
It
trainer,
makes sense, but it's
physio.
Yeah, but that doesn't
Co-trainer.
guarantee you
respect
high-level
to
volleyball.
them. Respect to them.
Referee, you can work your way up to eventually do international matches rather than like I want to be a trainer. I'm gonna go San Francisco 49ers. Let's go to the Super Bowl. You can't just do that rather than ref. You can actually work your way up because it is a hard job, and I don't know how much competition there is. And there's levels to it that you can eventually work at the highest level.
But in terms of red card, Micah, I agree 100% with you. That's even worse than like watching a free ball drop in the middle of the court because you just literally they didn't even have to do anything. You just gave him a point. Red cards are for me are inexcusable. Like that, I get really frustrated.
Yeah, red cards are really brutal.
I can't remember if I can't recall ever being.
There's some bad situations with red cards too because you have to rotate.
Yeah,
And you might, like, there's some situations I've been even more mad because I'm like, really? I don't get to serve because you took a red card and, like, I've been scoring a lot and this game is really close and now I got to wait another 6 rotations. Yeah. Red cards are not smart. Don't do them, people out there. Know your limits and always be in control. Like Joe said, a lot of the higher level guys, they're doing it for a reason and they kind of can manage it and try and be more
for the most
along those
part.
Lines. Sorry,
There was
Mike.
one point. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Micah. I already told Joe the story, and I was laughing. There was one point. There was the guy called a double on the first touch. Colton goes and chases down a ball. It was a high swing from the outside, off our hands, literally to the end of where you can go. And there's so much backspin on it, right? That Colton's about to use platform, but then it goes behind him. He's literally at the end of the court, and he sets it. And me and Joe were both right there, and then he calls a whistle. And we're like, what? And then he called a double. So I go run up to the ref stand, and so I run to the ref, and I'm obviously not the captain, and I'll put this in PG terms. I said, it was the first contact. It was the first contact, and I'm like, I would say I'm about like 5 to 6 feet away from the ref stand. Then Joe comes. Joe's our captain, of course. Joe comes, and he's like, Gage, and grabs me by the chest and pushes me back. Gage, calm down. Then he turns and he goes, it was the first contact. It's the same thing. It's like, Gage, first contact. Same thing. Oh, man, that was so funny.
But the ref stared at me.
And then you can see.
He immediately, he's like, it looked like he just had like a total, like,
dude,
kind of brain fart.
He replayed it?
Replayed it.
Yeah, replay.
And
Yeah.
They were livid.
No, he replayed it?
He
Wow.
looked at me,
One
like he stared at me
respect to him.
for like 5 seconds.
You could see
And you could just see, like, he just like, oh yeah, it was the first contact.
And then Ingab's yelling at the down ref. The down ref comes over and Ingab's like, finally, like, oh, like it's gonna go his way. And then the up ref, after they talk to the down ref, kind of shakes his head. He's like, yeah, it's a replay. And they just even watch even more. Dude, Micah, get into the nitty gritty. I want to hear about you and the outside.
Kovacevic?
Kovacevic. I want to hear about the spice.
No, there wasn't a lot of spice. It's just oh my gosh, this cat, man. No, I don't know what happened. I think he's just one of those players that feeds off of that energy as well. And at some point he had a spike and just I had turned around, but I knew that he had stayed and yelled through the net like pretty gnarly. And so he got a warning from the refs. And all I heard was like, he started it. And I was like, bro, what? Really? When did I do that? And usually I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I'm like, at this point I was like, okay, then let's go. And so it was just some small, like, I think he was frustrated, but I wasn't that frustrated with him. I just like would try and serve him short once and get a look or serve his line and try and like a little bit of gamesmanship that was going back and forth. And then at the end, obviously, that was just a response of just 172 minutes. That wasn't like because of what player I bought.
Happened though?
It was just about that we won the match, and I was just so stoked. I went to the bench and I guess the camera was right there. I didn't see the camera until like the last minute. But I went to the bench, just was fired up. And then, but no, it was just a little bit of that gamesmanship, like Joe says, that guys are doing and not backing down from a challenge for sure. And so, yeah, we came out on top, it was an insane match. It was probably the most tired I've ever been. After a volleyball match, it felt like I just finished like an American football game. Like that's the only feeling that I could relate it to. Was like when I would play football.
We're gonna wrap it up here in a second here, but did you like? For me, I stayed up till like 6:30 a.m. Obviously, we went out and celebrated as a team. But I drank so much caffeine that night.
I took Voltaren on an empty stomach. And was feeling it. Actually, like during the match, I was like, dude, my stomach was destroyed. And I was almost going to call a timeout and just be like, I'll be right back. Like, I got to go. And,
a timeout and just go.
I was like thinking, like, how long is this deuce going to go? Because this is ridiculous. Also, I was happy about it ending because of that. So I had that. And then
you block and just run to the barrage.
Yeah, I imagine. Like, hop over the ref stand or do like some ridiculous, just send it out. No, and then
I'm out.
And then I stayed home. I made some ramen and went to sleep.
I'm trying to usually go to bed in game night. I don't get to bed till around like 4:30. I'll like lay in bed for like a couple hours, but I can't fall asleep.
No, I don't have that. I don't have that deal. I can go to sleep right after.
Lucky bugger. With that being said, if you learn anything from this podcast, is be a dog. At the end of the day, as Micah says, don't back down from a challenge. And
don't scream at your teammates.
And don't scream at your teammates. But I'm gonna cut that part out. So for those of you listening, might not have any. We release it as a separate clip. How about that?
Okay.
With that being said, guys, Gang of the Heat, Goddamn Kitchen. This has been another episode presented by Out of System.